Hey guys, Dan Hood here. Going to give you a quick rundown. I'm going to put my face mask on, my face shield on in a minute, so I might be a little muffled. I'll try not to be, but I'm going to give you a tour of my latest build acquisition, if you will. Okay. Sometime back, let me get this clear. I bought one of these. It's a 24 quart professional weight aluminum, so it's a heavyweight aluminum pot, which is over here. Okay. I added a 1/2 inch piece of acrylic. Okay, you can see it. I've also got a valve. I've got a pressure gauge in there. Okay, you can see it's pulling well, this is a vacuum gauge, so it's giving you positive numbers, but that's really -15. It's still pulling. You can see in the bottom there, I've used one of the piston rods for a weight, and you can see that the slingshot in there is slowly bleeding. Okay, it's sitting in cactus juice. I won't tell you whose slingshot that is, but somebody asked me special for that slingshot. Okay, here's my old pump. Okay, it's getting a little old. I might have to replace it. You can see I have to tap it a lot on the side to get it to start these days. I've opened it, I've cleaned it. Nothing I do really works. I put in the correct amount of oil. Okay, it just is what it is. And then it hooks up, and then I've got one thing I did learn. Now, several things I've learned using vacuum chambers. Let me walk you over here to my old vacuum chamber. Here's my small old one. Okay, one thing I learned is that you cannot use any kind of rubber valve of any sort. Okay, you can see I've got a brass valve now, but more importantly, it's not just a brass valve. It has PVC washers in it. Okay, or it's nothing rubber in it. Let's just say it's got plastic washers in. I believe they're PVC. Okay, that I can turn it on and off. I'm trying to see how much vacuum this thing will pull. Okay, right now it's continuing to go down. But if you notice, the acrylic is bowing, but that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Now, one thing you will notice, I've put the 2 holes where I put everything. I've put those on the edge. You know, a lot of people put them in the middle. You don't want to, because the middle is where you have the most stress on that lid. So you don't want to use that. As far as the rubber seal goes, here's what it is. It's 40 mil PVC shower liner. Okay, you can buy this at Home Depot by the foot. It's about $4 a foot. Okay, the quart pan cost me about 40 bucks. They're not cheap. The pump cost me about 40 bucks when I bought it. The gauge cost me about $12 because it's a really nice one. All the fittings cost me about 10. The hose costs about 8 or 9 bucks. Now, the important thing, the acrylic. I'm going to back up. I made the mistake of buying the pot first, and the pot is 12.5 inches wide on top. The problem with acrylic is when you buy acrylic, it's reasonably cheap until you get wider than 12 inches. The minute you get wider than 12 inches, it starts to cost an absolute fortune. So if I had gotten a pot that was only 12 inches or less wide, the piece of acrylic would have only cost me 20 bucks. Because it was more than 12 inches wide, the piece of acrylic cost me $45. Okay, so just remember that. If you want to buy a pot, maybe buy a pot that's not so wide. Okay, now I like it because I got a huge chamber to do all kinds of stuff in. Okay, but if you look down in there, you see I've just put a separate container in. The sucker's still bleeding. Now I'm going to cut this off Okay, I'm going to see if this thing holds pressure. Hey, that's my little son. He's coming in to see. Let me get him away from this safely. But as you can see, it leaks a little bit, so I'll have to run the pump continuously. But that's fine because I'll only be running it about 30 minutes. Anyway, guys, there's the new setup. First slingshot in there is already pretty much, probably not another 10-15 minutes, it'll be bled out. And then we'll let the air back in slowly. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let's call it a day. Hope you guys like it.